Hello and welcome to the Punting Green, brought to you by Priced Up Bet and Oddschecker. This is your Masters 2026 preview. I'm your host, George Ellick, delighted to be joined by two of Oddschecker's golf tipsters, Niall Lyons. How you doing, Niall?
Hello, all good.
And Ginger Joe. Joe, how you doing?
I'm good, yeah, really good. Delighted for this one. It's the best one of the year for me, George, so I couldn't be more excited.
I am. It feels like the beginning of summer. You know, we've had Easter's gone, Aintree around the corner, of course. Look out for the Aintree preview from the guys as well, and of course now the Masters too. Niall, how are you feeling ahead of this one? Me and you have had a coffee before because you flew in from Northern Ireland this morning. Fair to say this feels like a bit of a different Masters than other years.
Yeah, without a doubt. There's obviously been a lot of talk about the trends, as there always is in the run-up to the Masters here. But it just feels like it's one of those years where a few of those are going to be bucked, and there's nobody coming in with the form like McIlroy and Scheffler have done in the last couple of years. Maybe Bryson on the Live Tour, he's one of the big names with a couple of wins, but there's question marks surrounding many at the front end of the market and in the middle. It's just a big puzzle, and it's been a hard one to draw conclusions on.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. Joe, where are you sitting in terms of your confidence heading into this weekend?
I feel a lot more confident about the Masters than I will for the PGA Championship and the US Open, for example. My squad is much smaller for an event like the Masters just because Augusta's so unique. There's probably quite a lot of players that I would write off quite quickly. But this year, George, obviously, I won't be so naive to write off Rory McIlroy with what he managed to do last year.
And
he's a backable price.
You sat there this time last year and said he will not win.
Yes, I even did a big X and
the rest is history.
But it's bad. We move on.
Right, we're going to get into it now. We're going to go through the guide selections through on Priced Up's markets. If you haven't got a Priced Up account, make sure you do so now. They've also boosted a few selections as well from the guides, which I'll go through as we get there. And Priced Up are consistently boosting stuff across different sports every single day. So if you haven't got an account already, make sure you sign up for one. They are a quarter to five in terms of place terms. So, you know, not necessarily extra places, but that quarter the odds certainly makes a big difference if you do manage to land a big price placed. So that they're the each way terms. And if you look at the Oddschecker grid right now, Scotty Scheffler is the favourite. He is top price 13-2, and that 13-2 is with Priced Up. Second favourite is Jon Rahm. Standout best price with Priced Up 11-1. Bryson DeChambeau 12-1, Rory McIlroy 12-1, Xander Schauffele and Ludwig Oberg are 16-1 and 18-1, 20-1 Matt Fitzpatrick and Cameron Young, 22-1 Tommy Fleetwood, 28-1 bar those, and we're going to talk about a couple of the guys I've mentioned shortly. Niall, we'll come to you first. I'll let you choose. You've got a 4-point win bet and you've got a 3-point each way bet at the top end of your staking plan. Which one do you want to lead with?
I'll start with Cameron Young because he's the winner. Yeah, I'm really keen on Young, and he was going to be the first man on my list for the last couple of weeks. He was always going to be a lock for the Masters. Obviously, one big negative is that he missed the cut last year, so let's get that out of the way. Not many players miss the cut and come back the next year and win. But his form in the lead in there was cut, 61st, cut, 18th. So we know that players don't go to Augusta and find their game all of a sudden, so it's no surprise that he missed the cut last year. This time around, it's totally different. He comes here with figures of 7th, 3rd, and of course the victory at Sawgrass. 7th and 3rd coming at Riviera and Bay Hill. So he's arriving with form on great golf courses, hard golf courses, the toughest fields as well. The thing that impressed me the most all year was that tee shot at the 18th at Sawgrass. I don't think there's been a better shot hit probably since McIlroy's approached the 17 on the final day of the Masters last year. To step up and draw the ball on that hole with water down the left. I remember years ago Justin Thomas did it, but he wasn't quite in the same situation. I think he was 1 or 2 ahead when he come on the 18th tee there, but he put so much pressure on Fitzpatrick there at Sawgrass with that drive. It was just an incredible golf shot. He's just slowly maturing into a world-class golfer. He obviously had his maiden Ryder Cup appearance last year where he was joint top point scorer in Team USA. And the thing that's impressed me the most with him is his demeanour. And I think it's the perfect he's just got the perfect equilibrium to go and win a major championship. Even Matt Fitzpatrick said when he walked off when he was interviewed after walking off the green, Matt Fitzpatrick went and congratulated Cam Young's family, and you know, he was asked in press conference why he did that, and he actually said, well, I think Cam Young gave me a lot of respect on the green by not fist pumping and going mad, blah blah blah. So he's just very calm. And even when he won the Wyndham last year, I tipped him up for the Wyndham as well for his first victory. You saw him. I think he got a lot of stick for, you know, we've all wanted Cam Young to win an event for a long time, and then when he does, it's just, you know, it's a slight boring reaction.
Yeah, yeah.
So he gets stick for that, but I think it's perfect for a major championship. And when he gets into position, I think he's going to be able to do it. And for me, if you're looking for someone in the mould of McIlroy and Scheffler the last couple of years who have come with winning form in massive events, he could become the third player on the trot to do the Sawgrass and Masters double.
He's a completely different player now, isn't he? Since he's won that Wyndham, the fact he managed to then go and win that Players' Championship as well. And not only does he have that, would you say he's probably one of the most natural course-fitted players as well?
Yeah, well, he's got a perfect draw for it. You know, I do like a bit of a fade coming in with your irons just to stop the ball, and we know how hard and firm the golf course is going to get this week, just with no rain at all in the lead-in and no rain on the week. So, but he has got a high ball flight too. So yeah, everything suits. He's got a couple of top tens here in four appearances. So obviously the big negative is the miscut last year. But I think with all our golfers we choose, there'll be some trend that they don't fit this year.
Yeah, definitely got a sneaky good major record as well. You know, he burst onto the scene for many of us in terms of kind of learning about him and how good he was in that in the Open Championship. Where at St Andrews, where he finished second, that was after finishing third in the PGA early that year. You know, 2 top 10s in the Masters already, another top 10 in the Open, and then 4th last year in the US Open. So, you know, it's funny how he was written off as being a bottler by some, and certainly the steel that he showed, both in the Ryder Cup and then also in the Masters too. I
was just going to say, he's world number 3 now as well. You don't get to world number 3 by fluke. Yeah. He fully deserves that spot. So it's not. People have got to forget the factor that he's a nearly man. He's a world class operator now and ticks so many boxes this year.
Yeah, absolutely. He is 20-1 priced up, 3 points each way for Niall. Now, a few from the top end of the market for you, Joe. Who do you want to lead with?
We'll start with Bryson.
2 points each way.
Yeah, and a 2-point win on top of that as well. The each way is a bit of reassurance really when I'm looking. Obviously, you want the outright winner really, but it does only feel like a matter of time to me until Bryson does win the green jacket. He comes into this tournament having finished 5th and 6th last year. Now, he is probably a little bit volatile at times. Obviously, he did used to come into the Masters saying the course was a par 67, and that turned out to be a little bit of nonsense, really, didn't it? But that being said, he is a player that is enabling himself to come around here and score well. Even in 2019, before he was the player he is now, he shot 6 under on the opening round, and since then he's had multiple 7 under rounds at Augusta too. So the fact that he's capable of shooting these sort of 65, 64 scores to me is a big plus. He obviously comes into this event in really good form. He won in Singapore, then he won in South Africa. And if you have a look at a lot of the players that are there on Live Tour at the moment, the change back to 4 rounds has been a bit of a detriment to their game, whereas the likes of Bryson, Jon Rahm have just shown that the raw class has been no issue for them, and they've maintained that form over the extra days too. I don't think it's all or nothing with Bryson, but to be able to hit a long high draw around Augusta on 5 holes in particular, you're going to get a major advantage over someone, for example, like Matt Fitzpatrick, who may be long, but he doesn't have a high ball flight or a high carry. So I think he comes here with a major advantage over a lot of players like Matt Fitzpatrick over the 4 days. So I think he's rock solid. I've got a slight question mark about his attitude, and that is only since watching the Rory McIlroy documentary that's just been released. And I know they don't get on like best of friends, but some of the comments from Rory, I don't think he would have said if they were untrue. Personally, and he's saying like he was arrogant, he was quite rude across the final round. If he, is in contention this year, which I hope he obviously is going to be, I would like him to just be a bit more settled, knowing my money's on him. You don't want arrogance to become a Masters champion.
Would it worry you, Joe, that he hasn't played in USA this year? That's a strange prep, I think, for the Live Tour this year. I think the last couple of years, did they play Doral the week before?
Good
They
question.
definitely played the USA anyway.
I suppose it might not be ideal. The only difference potentially with it being this week is that because Augusta's so unique and it doesn't necessarily correlate to other courses on the PGA Tour, maybe not so much, but it is a fair comment to question that for sure. But look, I'm with Bryson. I do love his attacking mentality, and even though that can be volatile here, like we said, we've seen him shoot 6 under and 7 under multiple times, and you haven't seen that with many others in this field.
Yeah, priced up have boosted both the guys' selections there. Cam Young is boosted to 25 to 1 win only on the price boost page. Bryson DeChambeau 14 to 1 win only. And next up, boosted to 15 to 1 win only. Niall's second selection, 4-point win on the defending champ, Rory McIlroy.
Yeah, he's going to do it again.
He's going to do it again. And Cam Young.
Yeah, he's going to be second. I think he's just being dismissed far too easily this year. There's obviously the defending champion thing. Let's address that first. I think he comes here with just a total monkey off his back this year, and the burden is lifted. Any other defending champion coming back here, and they talk about the media duties and the dinner, of course, I think there'll be a lot of expectation and a lot of pressure on them for the week. McIlroy will be landing here this week and will freewheel and love the preparation, in my opinion, the dinner, the media obligations. I think it'll be a real treat for him, if anything. I don't think you can bracket him like the same as defending champions, even of the past. It was like Tiger, Faldo and Nicklaus did it, but none of them will have had the amount of pressure lifted from their previous victory at Augusta. And I think this is going to be the first year he lands here with not 1,000,001 questions about how he's going to win it, or when is he going to win it, or if he's going to win it. So I think the defending champion thing can easily be dismissed. More worrying for me would be obviously the injury in the last month or so. But he withdrew and then played Sawgrass the next week, and I was convinced that he would pull out of that. Made a decision late on Wednesday that he was going to play it. And ranked second off the tee that week. That doesn't strike me as if there's a long-standing issue, and there's no. He said himself that he's happy with how his body has responded to that injury. So, yeah, I'm quite keen on him going well. I just think he's been far too easily dismissed by the bookmakers. I can't believe we're 13 to 2 last year, and if someone had told me or asked me back then, I would have said you'd get a max of 8 to 1 this time, and now we're seeing upwards of 14 to 1 now and 15 to 1 on the exchanges. So, yeah, I'm quite excited. I think there's many reasons to believe that he can go well again.
Would love to see it. Let's see. Rory McIlroy, the second selection. Yeah, he's not saying anything this time.
Not allowed this year.
Yeah, Rory McIlroy, the second selection for Niall there, boosted by price up to 15 to 1 win only, which is how Niall is betting him. Right, next up, you've got two more kind of towards the top end of the market. Joe, who do you want to go through now?
We'll go for Jon Rahm next. World number 29, but no doubt, obviously, on proper peak form, he's a top 3-4 player in the world. He's the 2023 Masters champion, and again, one of the most natural fits to Augusta. I keep going back to this a similar narrative with the likes of Jon Rahm and Bryson, is that these guys with length, height, a little bit of a draw as well, on at least 5 of the holes, they're going to be 50, 60, 70 yards ahead of the likes of, again, I keep picking on Matt Fitzpatrick, it sounds a little bit harsh, but someone who hits the ball low, I just think it's a major disadvantage here. Jon Rahm comes in here in excellent form. I know you can probably question what's happened on Live, but to shoot, to finish in the top 10 in his last sort of 28 starts on Live, you don't do that by fluke. You're still playing some seriously good golf, and I know he's come in obviously getting beat by Bryson, but I don't see where it goes wrong for him this year as well. He's really consistent here too, which is quite remarkable, because you don't find many players that sort of come here year in, year out and just sort of figure out how to play the course. I feel like he's got a real good balance of power and finesse around the greens too. Yeah, look, there's not a lot to add, but he's got that blend of power control. He's a previous winner. He's got the length. I think he just ticks all of the boxes without saying anything too fancy. His consistency brings him right into the mix as well. So, yeah,
as to Jon Rahm, they're 11 to 1 with priced up and I think boosted as well. Yeah, boosted 12 to 1 win only as well. Joe's second selection. bigger prices now for you, Niall. You've got 3 more each way bets on the card. Let's talk about Hideki Matsuyama, who you put up at 33-1, but there's been a significant gamble since you did. But 28-1 still with priced up.
Yeah, a big gamble on him overnight. I think this is just one of those turbulent Masters years where, you know, you can't nail anybody down. There's holes in everybody. And I think possibly we'll get a few wily old sorts, Augusta course dogs who will play well. And Hideki's one of them. You know, when there's no injury concerns around Matsuyama, you know, he's going to be dangerous. And he's one who, you know, he ranks 15th in approach play this year. And he's one of very few who can marry the approach play with an unbelievable short game around the greens. So he ranked 3rd off the tee and 9th on approach in Texas last time out. So his ball striking is exactly where you want it to be. His short game actually let him down that week, which is not something you often see with Matsuyama, but he's obviously a former winner too. So yeah, everything points towards another good effort. I just can't. There's very few holes you can stick in Matsuyama.
Yeah, Hideki Matsuyama there is Niall's 3rd selection, and he's also been boosted to 33-1 when only with priced up. 3rd headline selection, a man who had an unbelievable 2024, Joe, off the ball a little bit last season after injury, but looks like he's trending back in the right direction. Xander Schauffele, who's 16-1 standout best pricing oddschecker grids with priced up.
Yeah, rock solid this year, Xander, Mr. Reliable, if you like. 2-time major champion already. And what I like is the fact that he won the PGA Championship and the Open Championship, just showing sort of like a wide versatility to be able to score at a variety of different courses effectively. He's obviously got the pedigree to win a championship already from what we've seen previously, and it just wouldn't surprise me to see a Grand Slam on the cards for Xander Schauffele. He's the player to me that's just been niggling all season for me, just like, do I fancy him, And I do. I think he's the one to side with here. Comes into this year's event finishing the top 10 in 5 of his last 7 events, and it's no surprise as well, because it's hard to find a weakness in his game. He's outstanding from tee to green. He rarely posts a big number as well. He's got a really good sort of like 3-putt avoidance. He rarely makes double bogeys. He's very consistent, and he's got all of the tools required to obviously come and win this event. Not only has he got previous form here, but he comes into this event this year having finished tied 7th, tied 3rd, tied 4th, so he's trending in the right direction. Looks to have a standout chance this week too. And I wouldn't be surprised by the time we get to the US Open if we're talking about Xander Schauffele as a potential Grand Slam candidate.
Wow. Big talk indeed. Xander Schauffele, 16-1. They were priced up for Joe's 3rd pick. A couple more now. And a man that I'm pretty sure, Niall, you once said to me you would never bet again in a major. Patrick Cantlay, put up at 60-1. There seems to be a few, I mean, you've discussed this a bit. He's 70-1, I should say, with priced up, Patrick Cantlay. A few players who, you know, Cantlay, Hovland's another one, priced up as if they have kind of forgotten how to hit a golf ball, but certainly some signs in recent weeks that he's not playing too badly.
Yeah, I can't turn him down at the price. You know, obviously the last number of years we've been talking about, you know, anything from 25-1 to probably 33s for Cantlay in almost every single major, and he hasn't interested me in that, at those prices. But now I would say a tasty enough price to get involved this week. He's went close enough before without actually being, you know, really in the mix in the final couple of holes. He led during the final round of 2019 when Tiger won. He ended up finishing 9th. He was 4th at halfway in 2023. So he's got form. He's got enough form around here to hit plenty of the trends. But it's just his performance last time out at the Valspar that really interests me. He was 7th there and 1 shot shy of Xander Schauffele, who Joe tips this week, and I quite like. He's probably the one I'm worried about the most leaving off the list, Xander Schauffele. He's only 1 shot behind Schauffele that week. 2 players who a couple of years ago you would have said of similar calibre. Obviously, Schauffele's went on to win a couple of majors, but it's not the type of form you would want to be backing or thinking someone's going to come in and win a major here, having not won. He hasn't won in 3 or 4 years. That makes me uneasy. But then again, we're getting a premium with the price here. It's not as if we're backing on a 12-1 shot here who hasn't won in a long time. So yeah, it's similar plays to Jordan Spieth, who I'm backing as well.
Yeah, let's do that now as well. So Spieth's the other one, similar in many ways in terms of not often in the winners' circle. But Spieth, yeah, 50 to 1 he is with priced up.
Yeah, hasn't won since the Heritage, I think. It wasn't 2023. So, and 63rd, and last time out of Texas wasn't ideal. But again, his ball striking was good. His ball striking's been good all year. He's hitting the ball really well off the tee the last couple of starts as well. It's worth noting that this is his both best approach year to date since 2017. It's also his best work on the greens putting since 2021 so far. So there's a lot of good signs there for Spieth, and I think we definitely have seen him arrive here at Augusta in worse form than this and been a max of 25 to 1. So it's the price that makes it. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say I think Jordan Spieth or Patrick Cantlay is going to win the Masters this week, but I do think there's not an awful lot of value to be had, and I think the further you go down, you'll spot a few because there's plenty of holes in guys towards the top. So yeah, it would be great to see him do it, wouldn't it? It really, really would. Win another Masters, yeah.
Yeah,
and McIlroy putting the jacket on him.
Slipping the graphic jacket on Spieth. Okay, yeah, priced up have boosted both of those players, but in the top 10 market, Patrick Cantlay to finish in the top 10 is 11 to 2. Jordan Spieth to finish in the top 10 is 4 to 1. Niall there spoke about price. It's an interesting one with Justin Rose. He was runner-up last year.
Yes.
Has to be, you know, he's twice done everything right at Augusta and finished second behind iconic winners in playoffs. He was 100 to 1 going into the event last year. This time around, I think he's 33 to 1 with priced up. I mean, you put him up anti-post, but you're still keen on his chances this time around.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to come on to the episode and not mention him, and then boom, if he manages to get the job done. So I did tip him at 50 to 1. Justin Rose has been nominated for me as my player to follow in the majors all year, really. And he's one that you could probably back in more than just the outright market too.
Loves a first round leader.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, this is a bit of a trend with the players that I've backed this year. They're all capable and they've all proven to have pretty good scores around here. He's a 5-time first round leader at Augusta, Justin Rose. He shot 2 7-unders, 2 6-unders.
28 to do it again.
Yeah, it's obscene. And he finished with 10 birdies in the last round last year too. He's a man with serious capability, and he's now back inside the world top 10 as well. At top I think he's world number 7 now. He's been a class ball striker for a long time, and that level has just never disappeared from him. He's the ultimate professional, and I've got a feeling his long professional career will duly be rewarded this year. I think he deserves a green jacket. Not that that necessarily means he's going to get one, but he's had 11 finishes inside the top 25 in his last 14 starts. He's consistently shooting 67 or better every time he returns to Augusta, regardless of making the cut or not. And I generally think he's going to have a really solid chance here. I think you could back him in the outright market. I think you could back him as the first round leader, and I think you could back him in the top 10 market as well. So I've covered all bases with Justin Rose for this event, and I have all year too. I just didn't want to mention him when I put him up anti-post at 50s in case he gets the job done. I think
it would take a leap to get involved around 28s and all this week.
Yeah,
wouldn't it?
for sure.
It looks very skinny now,
yeah.
Especially after 100 to 1 last year.
Yeah. I'd almost rather back him in contention at a shorter price when you know he's there on a Saturday.
First round leader though, no matter what around that price.
Like 5 times.
Definitely has to be interesting. Looking back over first round leaders, the Masters over the last 10 or 15 years, obviously you've got specialists like Rose, but the years where it wasn't Rose, so many big names have been first round leader here. So I think, you know, if you're looking for that market, I would look at the top 10 in the market and pick a couple if you think there's there's a prime tee time, which tee times come out sometime later today.
Yeah, excited for that. Obviously had an incredibly dominant win at the Farmers back in February, winning by 7 shots there, and then missed a few cuts but finished tied 13th of the Players, so trending well going into this one. It's been interesting to see how many players have just kind of sat out since the Players as well and kind of come into this fresh.
I think that's why we'll see so many trends broken this year, but a lot more have been by design. I know, like we said, Colin Morikawa's been injured, and but there's a few players that have sort of made it quite well documented that they were going to take an extra week off for this year. So I wouldn't take that trend into account as much maybe this year anyway.
Yeah.
But look, you've got to have a look at Rose. He's dynamite from tee to green.
Absolutely.
It's no surprise that he's been doing this consistently over the years as well. He's a very impressive golfer.
And should mention before we move on, Scotty Scheffler, unbacked by you guys. Is that an easy decision, Niall?
Not really. Definitely not. You know, after Portrush, I said to myself, I would never let him go off 6-1 on back again. You know, especially when he's playing so well. He was 6-1 for the Open simply because, you know, the market really didn't think that links golf was, you know, going to really favour him. He wins there, and I said, you can't let that price go on back again. And here we are, the very next major.
6-1.
I'm turning it down.
What price is he? Sorry, there we've priced up.
He is 13-2, so stand up, best price on the grid.
That's huge.
Yeah,
that is huge.
It just takes a leap to back somebody who's like, what is he, around 80th strokes gained approach this year. That's the leap you got to take. I don't think having the baby, I think the baby's 10 days old now or so, or, you know, not playing the last 3 or 4 weeks comes that much into it. With Scheffler, I think you can still really consider him. It's just simply been his approach play this year. It hasn't been up to his standard. In fact, it's not even medium standard. It's not good. So he needs to turn things around. But if he does, I think we can kiss goodbye to, you know, a lot of majors. And if he wins this, it's kind of like Tiger winning the US Open in one leg. If he turns up this week after how things have gone this year and wins, then, you know, I think we're talking Tiger numbers in terms of how many majors he's going to win.
I mean, no, it's quite simple. No one is as consistently good as Scottie Scheffler long term. I did a bit of digging. If you look in his last 37 starts, he's won 15 events. In golf, a 10% win rate is what you would call sort of elite and outstanding. But Scheffler's operating at over 40%. The next,
and that's since the turn of the mallet head player.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's another interesting factor where a lot of people have said, like, oh, he's not the best putter, but he has been much better since he switched to the mallet. And the thing is, his tee to green game has been so good that his proximity to the hole is shorter. So we can question the putt and all we like, but you don't need to be as good when you're inside everyone else's ball, do you? Attacking these sort of things. But look, he's operating at over 40% win rate, which is just unheard of. And just to put that into context, Rory is about 10%, and then next you've got 1.2% as the highest. So it's obscene. I think he's won about 20 tournaments since Justin Thomas's last one and things like that. So he's exceptional. But if you're backing Scottie Scheffler at 13-2, you stick with him and maybe add one other player. You don't want to eat into that value too much, I suppose, at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. In the top 20 market, there's one you like, Siwoo Kim, 5-4, Niall? Yeah,
I think obviously he's hardly tipped with many punters this week. It's no surprise given how he's played this year. I think he's, you know, in the top 5 or 10 strokes gained tee green for the season anyway. But after his debut back here in 2017, he's made 7 cuts on the trot. And he's obviously playing better golf now than what he arguably ever has. It's a bit of a leap for me to take. I don't think he can win the event, but I think 5 times he's been inside the top 30. I think, you know, it's around 8-11 that price, and then for the top 20, I think we can expect a little bit better this year, seeing how he's playing. So yeah, around 5-4 is good enough for me, top 20 bet.
Good stuff. Joe, anything else to add?
Yeah, but only quickly, I've put up Justin Rose and Bryson in my outright squad. I do have them put up for first round leaders too. The record is there. I'd be silly not to, considering they're in my first squad, but I have added 2. Patrick Reed at 40-1 with 7 places for the first round leader. I got a feeling he's going to come out quick, fast and attack. I could just see him being quite high up on the leaderboard. And similar to Siwoo Kim, I actually like Minwoo Lee. Both really good ball strikers at the moment, are they? Particularly from tee to green. He's maybe the dark horse for me for the outright this week too. He's a much more complete golfer. Like Cam Young, since he's won, he's a much more complete golfer now. So wouldn't be surprised to see him put in a good score here. And I think when he first played there, he finished tied 14th as well. So it was, you know, he's got a bit of course form here too. So yeah, Justin Rose, Bryson DeChambeau, but Reed and Minwoo Lee have been added.
Yeah, they're both 35-1 first round leader, price up, paying a 5th, the 6th places. Anything more to add?
No, I think that's me.
There we go. That brings this year's Masters preview to a close. If you haven't got a priced up account, head to pricedup.bet, sign up for one there. All the boosts are under the Punting green header on the price boost page. So you can find the boosts there. Sign up for an account, click on the link in the show description, and you can do so there. Oddschecker have you covered all of your fixed odds betting needs. They have all the different best prices from a range of operators up on the grid, and you get these guys' tips across the week up on Oddschecker too. Enjoy what should be a magnificent weekend of golf. It always is. Thank you to Niall. Thank you to Joe. We'll see you soon for the next major, but in the meantime, hopefully we put up the winner somewhere in there. Enjoy the golf, and please ensure that you're gambling responsibly.